Do I have to sleep with my boyfriend? What happens if I don't? What happens if I do? Do I have to sleep with my boyfriend? What happens if I don't? What happens if I do? Now, I'm the bondage breaker. My name is David O'Brien. I'm speaking mainly to women, obviously, in this clip. And I'm a man, and I'm coming from a perspective that's from above, first of all, because I'm a man of the spirit. But I'm also coming from a perspective of a friend and a brother, so I can educate you on things from a man's perspective that you don't know within yourself intrinsically. It's something that you have to learn. And I'm here to teach you. Perhaps you didn't have a father teaching you. I'm here to teach you. And what I'm going to say to you, I'm not going to hold back punches. I'm going to tell you the truth. So first of all, do I have to sleep with my boyfriend? First of all, the answer is no. Absolutely not. You don't have to sleep with your boyfriend. First of all, you need to understand, because I'm talking mostly to a younger audience. And the fact is, boyfriend is a new concept. It came out when I was a kid, and I'm not that old. Boyfriend used to mean very different than it does today. Okay? And now it's morphed into something else through Hollywood. And I love Hollywood, but some of their programming is deceptive. And it doesn't consider consequences. So it brings people into a place where they experience things that causes problems, crippling problems to your life, to your mindset, to the stress level inside of your physical brain as well as your mind. And those things you can avoid if you go back strategically to the way things were designed and the way things actually were for most of the history of the earth. There's only a big change recently due to media network programming and things like that. You know, we have technology now that's powerful, but it's dangerous. It's like a fire if you have the wrong information. And there's been a lot of wrong information. And I can tell you from a man's perspective, a lot of things. So here, let's talk about what happens if I don't sleep with my boyfriend. This is a beautiful piece. It's a nugget of information I can share with you. First of all, if you don't sleep with them, you are going against the norm that you see in all pretty much the Hollywood movies and ideas and TV. And so therefore, what you do is you weed out a certain type of man, or you educate a man as to your value. So in other words, basically, if you go against the herd, then what happens is you are one who is priceless. You can't be bought. You can't be shopped for. You see, you're out of the market. And so therefore, it takes now a man who is looking for value and who finds interest in you, not just pleasure from you, you see, because men think different than women. Now, it doesn't mean a man's thinking is always wrong, but there is a corruption that can take place, and because of the way society is set up. So now, what happens if you don't sleep with your boyfriend? First of all, you weed out certain evil people, okay? People who really are selfish, who are just trying to get you physically. You know, their body's going through changes, their mind wants this, their eyes want this, they see your physical beauty. You don't want to ever basically marry someone who just doesn't even know you. But when you block a man, you become like a dam. You see, a river in the wild without a dam is just all over the place. It's dangerous. But when you have a dam, you can generate electricity. There's order there because you're holding back the flow of that river. Women, you have power when you say no to a man sexually. You have great power over that man. First of all, you can weed out, like I said, the herd and the wrong people, the men who are just after your shape. You don't marry a shape, okay? You marry a person. You, my friend, are a person. You have depth. There's things about you you don't even know about yourself yet. There's things that your husband in the future will take decades getting to know you. You're amazing. Spirit, soul, and body. And so if someone's just after your body, they've been programmed wrongly, but you can help them. You can cool their way of thinking. You can cool their mind. You can cool their hormones, everything else. You can cool them off by saying no. And now listen, you got to raise your standard higher than the norm or the average. You got to recognize you're special. What makes you special really is part of it. It's your nature. It's how you were created, how you were made. If you believed in Jesus, you're in another. It's called the new creation. But then what makes you known as special is your own standards that you choose in your life. And I tell you why a lot of women are just, the way the culture is going right now, because cultures go back and forth. But right now, the way it is women are getting run over by men because the standard is saying you have to do this. You have to give up your virginity. You have to sleep with whoever. It's a lie. And so anyway, at this point, when you stand up and stand out, what you do is you cause a man to pull his pants up and keep him up. It's powerful what you can do to a man, women. You have power over men. You have way more power than they tell you. And I'm telling you as a man, you have power. So what you do is hold the man back and let him know, no, I value marriage. Okay? Now, I'm not going to tell you all the ways to do this, but you have to make that your standard. You have to make it set up that you're not going to open that dam up, so to speak, and let the river flood through. Because once it starts flowing, it's hard, even for you as a woman, to say no. And definitely, you don't want to turn him on and have him turn into a raging bull. You just don't want that. Sexuality is a powerful thing. It's like a current of a river. You don't want to open doors and jars, and things that, like opening champagne, the cork fly. You don't want all that. You want to keep things social, not sexual. Sex is created inside of a bond of trust called a covenant, where you lay down your life for each other. It's the highest price you could ever pay for another. Now, what happens again if you do not sleep with your quote-unquote boyfriend? Is you find a man who's playing the long game. That's what you want. You don't want to fly by night, because most women in today's culture, which, like I said, it's going to change. So let's let it change with you. Because most women, what they're going to do is they're going to follow the crowd, look around, and then the man is programmed wrong. Okay, so he's just after you for that, and he doesn't know what he's doing either. He's a total idiot. I'm sorry to say, but you can educate them. But what happens is then you become like water to them. What I mean by that is you were gold, but your value goes down in their eyes. Right or wrong, that's what happens in the man's eyes. I'm telling you the truth. And that's why you see men dump the girl afterward. Or stick around, but now they're thinking of other women because they're perverting themselves. And then women, you know how much mascara has been shed based on, or has been streaked through based on allowing a man to do whatever he wanted to convince you? Don't listen to the words, I love you, okay, until there's a ring on the finger. And that's not an engagement ring, that's a wedding ring. I love you is so shallow and cheap when a man says that if he can't back it with his whole life. Love is where you give up your whole life, all right? And I'm married. I know what I'm talking about. This is true. And you want someone who has true love. Now, you want someone who gets to know you. You want to make sure you're compatible. That's relational stuff. But as far as the sexual aspect, like I'm saying, if you refuse, you're going to weed out a lot of evil men. You're going to become the standard. You're going to become, in the eyes of anyone, regardless of what they say, if they mock or whatever, you're going to start to be seen as very, very valuable because you're rare. Now, this happens in every aspect of life. The more rare a thing is, the more valuable it is. Okay? So what happens if you do let the person use your body? Okay? Or have your body too early before you actually entered a covenant where you gave each other marriage? What happens if you do that? Well, first of all, it hurts you. That is a very powerful act, okay? It's not just physical, but it is impacting emotionally in other ways, and it binds people together, but it's supposed to be done in marriage. It's actually protected in marriage. Without the bond of marriage that God created, the same God who gave you your body, who gave us the oxygen to breathe, who gave us a mind to think, and who also gave us sexuality. That same God who put such pleasure in sexuality put it inside the barrier of marriage to be sacred. In other words, it's the highest form of pleasure you can ever get, physically speaking, naturally, without some sort of manipulative drug. It is the highest. And so he gave it the boundary protection of the highest form of commitment to any person, which is the covenant that we call marriage today. All right. So does that make sense? So in other words, if you want to enter into that, you have to go through the right door. It's held in a vault, which is called marriage. So if you give that away early, almost without ceasing, almost without exception, you're going to lose that guy. Because your value goes down in his eyes, because you're not as rare anymore. And he, first of all, was just trying in some way to satisfy his hormones and his physical body, the sexual aspect of fantasies. Maybe he saw something on the internet. Then he's trying to get something short term. So therefore, once he gets it, he's not thinking of you anymore. And guess what? He gets dumbed down. And that's why there's a lot of dumb men out there. There is a lot of dumb men. And it's because of the way the culture's moving. It's dumbing down men. So what you can do is hold that completely back and let them know, no, I do traditional marriage, whatever you want to call it. Come up with your own phrase for it. But basically you let them know, no, my body's not for sale. It's not just because you smooze me. No. And when you do, like I said, you'll lose a lot of jokers, evil people who just want, gamblers, so to speak. And then your value will go up. You'll have time to evaluate the person. They'll have time to really, you'll find someone who's different, who actually wants the relationship, who wants to know you. Sex is just on the top. It's like the cherry on top of the cake or the pie. So it's not the most important thing. It's a reward within marriage, you see? So if you do, like I said, one of the things is you're going to lose him 99.999% of the time. Number 2, you'll have a memory of that the rest of your life. Number 3, you've given away the most intimate, private part of yourself to someone who you'll never probably, you won't even know in the future, most likely, okay? There's a lot of these. I'm not going to just go off extensively on them. But I will say this: the anxiety, the pain, the hurt, the depression that most people, and I will say women, are going through is because they did not keep that door to their sexuality locked until marriage. Keep the guy back. He doesn't need to know you in that way. He needs to know you in every other way. And you need to know him. And if anything, let him marry you. And that's a very wise way to go about life.